Hello and welcome to an India Today special broadcast that comes to you from the strife-torn Ukraine. I'm Gaurav Sawant, and over the course of the next half hour, we get you the day's developments on day 19 of this conflict.
Russia strikes in heart of Ukraine.
Entire stories, it looks like 2 missiles hit this area, and these missiles have gone through and through. There is fire marks on the apartments on the other side of the building as well.
Kyiv on radar of Russian tanks and missiles. Putin inches closer to his top target.
There are the people who these shelters are housing.
Desperation in some quarters to leave Kyiv as quickly as possible. And
India Today reports from Kyiv war zone. Kyiv braces for all-out invasion.
Russian President Vladimir Putin's main target is the Ukrainian capital Kyiv, and multiple locations in Kyiv have now been targeted. Day 19 began with a series of air raid sirens, and in 19 of 24 regions and provinces across Ukraine, there were multiple air raid sirens, airstrikes and missile strikes, including in the heart of Kyiv. We get you our top story.
It's been 19 days now since Russia began its offensive. For 19 days, it's been blood, damage, debris, and devastation in different parts of Ukraine. Charred factories on the outskirts of Kyiv, residential buildings in Ukraine's capital engulfed in smoke, back-to-back blasts in Mariupol, and commercial establishments in shambles. Ukraine is battered and bleeding. The shelling of the Antonov serial production aircraft facility in Kyiv by the Russian army has destroyed it, a clear strategy to target aviation assets. The Antonov plant has been destroyed days after Russian forces targeted the world's largest cargo aircraft, the Antonov Mriya. The city of Chernihiv is in ruins north of Kyiv. Deadly attacks by the Russian army has killed civilians. Buildings continue to burn, some being rescued from the rubble. As the Russian war machine approaches and encircles Kyiv, the suburbs are continuing to see massive damage. Repeated shelling has burnt residential areas in the area to the ground. Russia has attacked suburbs of the capital city of Kyiv. A town councillor of Brovary, just to the east of Kyiv, has been killed in the fighting. In Mykolaiv in south-central Ukraine, a school has been reduced to ruins after rockets hit the premises. Whereas in Mariupol, in the eastern part of the country, urban infrastructure has fallen like a pack of cards due to incessant, persistent attacks. A heart-wrenching image that defines the Mariupol hospital tragedy. A heavily pregnant woman being carried out on a stretcher after Russian airstrikes. This woman and her unborn child, according to the government, couldn't be saved. More casualties of the war.
Неділя, але хто зараз зважає на це? 8 років.
Important about today, about war. We will win. Glory to Ukraine. We were able to evacuate nearly 120,000 people using humanitarian corridors. The main task now is Mariupol. Our diplomatic effort is focused on aid to reach the city.
Росія втратила тисячі одиниць військової техніки.
A huge factory was ablaze after missiles hit the building in the city of Kharkiv, close to the Russian border. Plumes of smoke have engulfed neighboring buildings, bringing even more damage to a city that has been battered piece by piece, neighborhood by neighborhood.
In a local area where there is no another military installation except the presidential buildings, TV tower, new business centers and students' residences. There is the same 5-floor building where my father grew up and still lives my grandma. And here, 2 steps away, stands Dovzhenka Cinema, where every week I went to see new movie with my friends and family.
Despite Russia intensifying its military operations, Ukraine continues to put up a fight, led by their president Zelensky, who refuses to flee. He met with wounded soldiers in a hospital where they are being treated.
There is desperation in some quarters to leave Kyiv as quickly as possible and head to the west, if not to Lviv, but to safer areas in the west. But with Russian missiles and rockets targeting places very close to Lviv, it is very clear, as the mayor of Bela Sirkov told India Today, no place across Ukraine is safe as on date from Russian missiles and rockets. The question remains, will talks bring some semblance of peace or de-escalation in tension? That remains the biggest challenge. With cameraman Pawan Kumar in Kyiv, Ukraine, on day 19 of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Gaurav Sawant for India Today. A major Russian airstrike took place on a crucial Antonov plant. Now, Antonov is where AN-32 aircraft that even the Indian Air Force has acquired are manufactured. And Antonov, it's a major aircraft company. Now, AN-32 were built specially for Indian Air Force for high altitude operations in Siachen, Leh and Ladakh. And this facility of Ukraine was also targeted. Military facilities are systematically being targeted in Ukraine.
Another day, another ominous plume of smoke. This one rising from Ukraine's besieged capital city, Kyiv. This particular target, the building on fire after heavy shelling, is the famous Antonov aircraft factory. According to the Kyiv administration, a high-rise building on the factory site has also come under attack with human casualties. The damage inside Kyiv is part of a visible escalation in Ukraine's capital after 19 days of the damage mostly seen only outside the city. Here's what this famous Soviet-era aviation facility looked like before the war compared to the towering inferno it is now, sending dark smoke across Kyiv's skyline. The shelling of Antonov's serial production plant is being seen as a targeted attack on the country's aviation power and aircraft heritage.
The fire has had devastating effect on the Antonov plant here in Ukraine. Now, this is where the bulk of the AN-32 transport aircraft, the backbone of Indian Air Force transport fleet, especially for the high-altitude Siachen Glacier operations, have been built. You can hear the quick fire happening right now, some kind of artillery or rocket fire you can hear in the background, and this shows that Kyiv is directly now in the line of Russian attack.
Its Dreamjet, the world's biggest ever aircraft, the Seoul Antonov AN-225 Mriya, was destroyed in Russian shelling at Antonov's Hostomel airfield just north of Kyiv.
Съемочная группа сейчас работает на аэродроме Гастомель. Отсюда до Киева чуть больше 20 километров. Сейчас этот аэродром контролируется российскими.
The Russian Ministry of Defense has released dramatic images of the Russian takeover of the Antonov airport.
Самолет в мире Ан-225 Мрия, в переводе на русский мечта. Так вот, украинские артиллеристы.
With the destruction of the Kyiv facility, it has become clear to Ukrainians that no target is off limits. With Gaurav Sawant, Geeta Mohan and Rajesh Pawar in Kyiv, Ukraine, Bureau Report, India Today.
As the battle intensifies on day 19, it's the heart of Ukraine that is currently under attack. Images that you see on your television screen very clearly indicate that military convoys and train convoys are now carrying military hardware to the heart of Kyiv for the protection of Kyiv as Russia intensifies its offensive. We bring you this report about how Russian forces are trying to target the heart of Kyiv and Ukraine's very strong fight back.
Russians are advancing mile by mile deep into Ukraine.
You can hear shelling in the backdrop, and hundreds and hundreds of people are fleeing this battleground.
From Irpin
You can hear all the Russian action. It continues, maybe at a distance, but it is quite a scare.
to Buka to Bori.
Disposable anti-tank rocket launchers, and a lot of them here which have been used, and they have been kind enough to allow us to film this. And look at these concrete blocks which are broken now. I think they have been hit, all three of them have been hit by one shell.
And now Kyiv. Russians first rocked the suburbs of the Ukrainian capital with heavy shelling and bombardment. But now the heart of Ukraine is under attack.
This is Oblon area of Kyiv city. It is not in the center, but it's quite affluent neighborhood. And see the entire stories. It looks like 2 missiles hit this area, and these missiles have gone through and through. There is fire marks on the apartments on the other side of the building as well.
Once a posh locality, now completely in ruins. The building caught in raging fire is one of the residential apartments in Kyiv's Oblon area.
You can see the fire which has made everything black this side also. The impact on the rear side of the building, which is approximately 40 to 50 meters wide. And see the missile hit on that side, but so much of a 50-meter wide building, and the impact has come till this side, fire came till this side.
Obolon was a beautiful high-end urban residential infrastructure, around 10 kilometers away from the presidential palace. The Russian hellbirds have blown the locality into pieces.
There are 3 cars standing here, and you can see the kind of damage which has been done to the property, to the cars, to the apartments in this area. A lot of damage here. We could see only black, where probably the fire made everything black, but all the apartments in this huge residential complex have been hit, have been damaged, and probably people inside there have either died or seriously injured in case they were still living in those buildings. I can now hear explosions.
India Today is the only channel reporting from the shelling site.
I'll show you around a little bit so you get a sense of the area, that it's just one apartment block which has been hit, and about 60 to 80 apartments have been totally damaged. Here you see it's about 40 to 60 apartments have been totally damaged, totally destroyed, and see the amount of debris being cleared now by the people, and see the kind of damage. If you can focus, I hope I'm focusing my camera correctly.
Yes.
But if you see the damage, look at this.
Just look around. These are residential homes that have been damaged in the shelling.
Our reportage has tracked every moment of the Russian advance and fierce Ukrainian defense. The reality on the ground as it happens.
Okay, you can smell burning, with the burning smell of soot in the air.
The Russian forces have now set their eyes on the biggest prize. Their missiles are landing right in the heart of the Ukrainian capital. Kyiv could fall to the invading forces soon. With Rajesh Pawar in Kyiv, Bureau Report, India Today.
The Russian airstrikes now are increasingly towards military bases, places where Ukraine's air force is based, where the air defense is based, and the latest attack on Lviv, in which 35 Ukrainian service personnel were killed, was at a military training facility. While Ukraine claims that only civilians and military personnel at this base were targeted, the Russians claim that there were 180 foreign fighters who were undergoing training at this location who were also in the line of fire. We bring you this report. The Ukraine army is confident. They say Russia's myth of invincibility lies shattered. In 19 days, the Ukrainian army has ensured neither Kiev nor Kharkiv are in Russian control. Some territories are, but the advance of the Russian army has been stalled. If the Russians thought, and this is something that the Ukrainian army is taking great pride in, and it's actually inspiring an entire country to stand up and fight back. They say if President Putin or Russia thought that they can take control of this country in 48 hours, they haven't succeeded in 90 days and counting. We bring you this report.
The Russian onslaught has left only destruction in Ukraine. But the Ukrainians refuse to bow to the mighty Russians. Despite being no match for a superpower, Ukraine has caused significant damage to Russian military equipment. And now, Ukraine claims to have busted Russia's invincibility myth. Mocking the claim that Russia could capture Kyiv in just 48 hours, Commander-in-Chief of Ukraine Army said Putin's army can be brought to its knees. The army chief pointed out multiple successful attacks by the Ukraine army to shoot down several Russian jets, choppers, and destroy the tanks. Ukraine's military chief revealed that near Kharkiv, an anti-aircraft missile system shot down a Russian drone flying at an altitude of 3,200 meters. Days ago, Ukraine shot down many Russian choppers and aircraft. A Russian chopper was taken down by a Stinger missile fired by the Ukrainian army. In Mykolaiv, a Russian chopper was shot down by Ukraine. The jet turned into multiple fireballs after a mid-air explosion. In Mykolaiv, Ukrainian army captured Russian military tanks and set them on fire. In Brovary, a Russian army tank was set ablaze after the Ukrainians captured several Russian military vehicles. The war is being led by brave Ukrainian civilians who have taken it upon themselves to stop the Russian invaders, picking up automatic weapons and setting up road blockade.
On the ground training of the civilians here who've joined up in the Territorial Defense Force, been split into groups and then being taught how to enter territories occupied by the enemy. One person who always has his back to the team, and the one leading then leads them to the to where they have to go. So they're being trained in how to encircle the enemy from various places and then attack, launch their attack.
The Russian advancement has faced able resistance in the outskirts of siege of the city of Kyiv. The mayor of Bela Serka himself was leading the fight back.
So, what's the current position right now?
Звичайно, наше місто, як і всі великі міста України, були здійснені ракетні удари з сторони електропостачання, водопостачання, газозабезпечення, а також теплопостачання.
Today the situation in Bela Tsarkoye is stability. All the life support system works stably, but we also was attacked by Russian Federation army. We have some missiles here.
Ukraine Defense Ministry claims that over 12,000 Russian personnel have been killed, over 380 Russian tanks destroyed, over 1,200 armored vehicles and 150 artillery systems bombed into smithereens. But the big question is, how long can the plucky Ukrainians keep Kremlin at bay? With Gaurav, Sawant and Geeta Mohan in Kyiv, Bureau Report, India Today.
Ukraine has changed drastically in the past 19 days. We will get you 19 images of how a beautiful country now in many cases and many towns here resemble a ghost town. India Today's team of reporters, we were here before this conflict started on the 24th of February. We will get you pictures of how beautiful Kyiv was before the 24th and the current pictures of Kyiv. And it's not just Kyiv. Look at Kyiv, Kharkiv, Mariupol, a number of cities that India Today team visited, shattered in ruins after the Russian attack. We bring you pictures of Ukraine before and after the February 24 attack.
Captivating cathedrals, marvelous monasteries, historic monuments, and cities with grand landscapes. This was Ukraine for tourists holidaying in Europe's second largest country. Now, all that is left for one to see in Ukraine is this: missile attacks and explosions, bloodstains of civilians, and heartbreaking scenes of citizens fleeing. An iconic Antonov aircraft plant on fire, shelled by Russian forces. A massive plume of smoke was seen rising from the aviation hub after it was hit by Russian missiles and shells. The plant is home to some of the most legendary planes ever built in world's aviation history. The plant also upgrades India's AN-32 military transport jets. Mykolaiv, a city and municipality in southern Ukraine, the main shipbuilding center of the Black Sea, is now under attack. Images on your screen show a Russian missile targeting a car park in the city and several other civilian areas, reduced to rubble. The beautiful town of Volnovakha in the Donetsk region of Ukraine, it served as the administrative center and now has been decimated by shelling. Buildings have collapsed, cars have been destroyed. The region has become a ghost town with people fleeing from the area in droves. Kharkiv, the second largest city, continues to be the worst hit. Images on the screen show this once beautiful city in ruins. Buildings totally destroyed, the cars empty shells, and no sign of life anywhere in this ravaged city. Capital city Kyiv, the most populous city of Ukraine, an important industrial, scientific, and cultural center of Eastern Europe, now in ruins. Devastating images capture bodies lying all around, charred Russian tanks, and destruction everywhere. This is the central city of Ukraine, Dnipro.
Ukraine is also a traveler's paradise. This is one of those last genuine destinations in Europe where you can explore a lot of areas. And this is a tourist paradise, or at least it was, when lakhs and lakhs of tourists visited this country earlier. Now the problem is this country is just struggling to stay afloat amidst the Russian invasion. With cameraman Pawan Kumar in Kyiv, Ukraine, Gaurav Sawant for India Today. Our special coverage from Strife on Ukraine continues, but that is all we have time for on this special broadcast from on board the street between Kyiv and Lviv. That is all that we have for you on this broadcast. Many thanks for watching.